Hello everybody, and welcome to what is going to be the first video in a series of new World of Warcraft player guides. Today we're going to be talking about Horde versus Alliance, giving you a little advice on how and which faction to choose when starting your adventure in World of Warcraft. So as recording for most of this series, it is going to be very early 2022. Current expansion is Shadowlands, but overall, the Alliance versus Horde argument and ways to discern how you want to go about choosing which faction you play should stay relatively similar as the years go on and the expansions continue. I doubt it will change that much, so even if you're watching this years down the road, it should still be fairly accurate. So let's get right into how to choose Alliance or Horde here. So the descriptions of each, and you can do this by just hovering over the icons and names of the Alliance and Horde in the character creator menu, which is where you're going to choose which one to play. The alliances, the noble races of the Alliance, are bound together by proud traditions of nobility, honor, and faith in justice and sacrifice. The many different Alliance peoples all contribute their technical, arcane, and spiritual wisdom towards the goal of a peaceful and just world. Take up the banner to represent the high ideals of the Alliance throughout Azeroth and beyond. The Horde, on the other hand, is the proud nations of the Horde are loosely joined in an alliance of convenience against the hostile world that would see them destroyed. Focused, ferocious, and sometimes monstrous, the Horde values strength and honor but struggles to keep aggression in check. Join the Horde and fight to build a world where their people can live free. So you can see the icons. The Alliance has a golden maned blue lion, and the Horde over here is has this red icon here. These are the two icons for the factions. Alliance with the blue and gold, Horde with the red and black. So overall, choosing the which faction you want to play is comes down to a few things to consider and how you want to play. So first of all, this is a pretty impactful decision on how your experience in World of Warcraft is going to go. It's going to change the races you play, the cities and zones you play and level in, who you can interact with, as well as the overall feel and storyline of the game. So it is fairly impactful, and choosing is fairly important, but it's not that difficult to discern and make up your mind, and we're going to give you some advice here. The first and probably best advice for choosing a faction is figuring out if you have friends that play the game or joining with you, what faction they play or what faction they are going to be playing. Because if you choose a different faction from your friends that play the game, you won't be able to play with them. So you got to make sure that you're playing with the faction that your friend is already playing on, so you can actually play with them. That being said, if you don't have any friends that play World of Warcraft or just don't care about playing with them, there are a few things you can still make up. A few things to consider that to make up your mind on what faction you want to play. First of all, one advice is what looks cooler to you. What color scheme do you like more? What logo do you like more? What description of both factions jive with you more? And second thing to consider kind of goes along with look, but look up some of the zones and cities of the Alliance and the Horde and compare them and see which ones you like more, because you're going to be spending a lot of times in these zones and cities leveling and idling and just playing the game in general. So if you don't like the feel or look of the areas you're in, it might not be as good of an experience overall. Second thing to consider or third thing to consider is the races available to play on both sides. Classes, these things down here. Classes, every class can be played by both factions. It's been that way for a while, so you don't need to worry about, not being able to play a certain class because you're going to a certain faction. Both factions play every class. With that being said, both factions have very different races other than the Pandaren, which are the only race in the game that you can choose to play on Alliance or Horde. But assuming you're not going to play a Pandaren, you're going to have to decide which race, which races of the Alliance or Horde, jive with you more. And there's a few ways to do that. First thing is just look. If you like the look and feel of a race more, that's the most important thing. Each race does have bonuses that come with them on each side that we will discuss in a future video on races. But overall, it's really not that impactful. You should just choose the race and class and faction combo that you think looks cool and you like the most, because overall, the impactfulness of the racial differences and the bonuses they give you are negligible for most players. So don't be too concerned about, which races are better, which one has a better set of races, because for most players it doesn't really matter, especially for new players. Just look at the base races as well as the allied races if you want, and decide which ones you think you'd rather be playing and which ones look cooler, and go from there. And that'll generally align with one of the races, unless it's a Pandaren. Then you still got a decision to make, which refer to the other tips on which one to discern. Another thing to consider is choosing a faction is the player count overall and on whatever realm you are going to be playing on. So say you've already selected a realm, a good thing to do is look at the realm's population breakdown and see whether the Horde or Alliance have a majority. If it's a pretty close split to 50-50, if it's pretty close to that 50-50 split, it doesn't really matter what you choose, because they're both, one probably going to have a majority, but it's not that big of a majority, so it doesn't really matter that much. But a lot of servers in World of Warcraft have pretty heavy, imbalances of, faction players. Like, a lot of time on a realm, a faction will have a majority of, 90+% of the players will be as one specific faction. So if you choose the minority faction on those servers, you won't have a lot of people to play with. We'll go into greater detail with faction or server selection later in a different video, but that's something to consider. Whatever realm you're playing on, see what the faction majority and minority are, and that can definitely help impact whatever faction you're going to be rolling as. Overall, though, I can say that the Alliance and World of Warcraft retail, as of now, the Horde has a decent majority overall across all servers, in the US at least, or NA, however they do it. Because the Horde has 63.74% of players overall, while the Alliance only has 36.26% of the player base. And out of the top 10 most populated realms, which are some of the best realms to play on, you want to choose a very, full or high populated realm to play on generally, unless you really want a small realm for some reason, or your friends are stuck playing on there and they won't switch. Out of the biggest realms, so the top 10 most populated realms in the game, as of now, only 3 of them are Alliance majority and 7 are Horde majority. Again, there are still a lot of good big Alliance servers, as 3 of them out of the top 10 are Alliance. So you can definitely choose whatever you want. Just make sure the server correlates with whatever faction you pick. There's another thing to look into. So overall, those are the general tips I will have for you. for selecting a faction. Um, Both have appealing aspects to them. Both have aspects of, the Alliance and Horde both have aspects about them that I personally like, and both have aspects that I don't like. Personally, I can say I'm an Alliance player. I've always been an Alliance player, and all my characters are across every type of World of Warcraft Classic and Retail are all on Alliance. Even the Pandaren character I have, which I got to choose obviously which one I wanted to play there. I just personally like the zones and the cities better. Multiple of my friends play Alliance, and I also like the races better. So that's why I chose it. A lot of reasons, but again, to each his own. Definitely make your own decision following the tips I've set out for you there. And either way you roll, as long as you like it personally, you're gonna have a great time. Both sides are pretty solid, and I hope you enjoy your faction that you pick and your new player experience in World of Warcraft. Catch you guys in the next video. See ya.